Hello, and welcome to Cinematic Skeptic. Today I want to talk about the 1992 movie My Cousin Vinny. It's a fish-out-of-water comedy, a loud New Yorker in a southern courtroom. Funny accents, cultural friction, a lawyer who doesn't seem qualified to tie his own shoes, let alone defend a murder case.
We've been arrested. Ma, please. Ma, please. First of all, we didn't do it, all right? Murder.
But that's exactly the misdirection. Because underneath the comedy, this movie is asking a very serious question. How do we decide what's true when authority, confidence, and tradition collide with evidence?
You paid for the groceries. And then what?
We went out to the car, and that's it.
When'd you shoot him?
What?
At what point did you shoot the clerk?
I shot the clerk.
Yes, when did you shoot him?
I shot the clerk.
The case against the two defendants looks airtight, at least on the surface. Multiple eyewitnesses, certainty in tone, institutional confidence, and that's the first warning sign.
Don't use any attorney.
I think so.
He says he thinks so. That's a great idea. You think he'll do it?
What?
We got an attorney in the family.
Great, who?
My cousin Vinny.
From the very beginning, the courtroom doesn't just evaluate evidence. It evaluates performance, accent, tone, familiarity, ritual. And Vinny fails that test immediately.
Counselor, your clients are charged with first-degree murder. How they plead?
Ayana, my
Don't
client...
talk to me sitting in that chair. What are you wearing?
I'm wearing clothes.
When you come into my court looking like you do, you not only insult me, but you insult the integrity of this court.
There's the famous moment when Vinny says the two defendants are yutes.
The two yutes.
To what? What was that word?
The judge is irritated, but notice what's actually happening.
Don't shake your head. I'm not done yet. Wait till you hear the whole thing.
The court gets stuck on pronunciation, not meaning, yet credibility drops because the word sounds wrong. And that tiny moment becomes a metaphor for the entire film. The system isn't asking, is the claim intelligible? It's asking, does this person belong here? Later, there's the grit scene.
And you had just begun to make breakfast. You were just ready to eat, and you heard a gunshot. That's right, I'm sorry. So obviously, it takes you 5 minutes to make breakfast.
That's right.
And the witness confidently answers, 5 minutes. Vinny pauses. He doesn't argue, he doesn't mock, he just asks a follow-up question.
Do you remember what you had?
Eggs and grits.
How could it take you 5 minutes to cook your grits when it takes the entire grit-eating world 20 minutes?
I don't know. I'm a fast cook, I guess.
The witness has very high confidence and absolutely no justification.
Are we to believe that boiling water soaks into a grit faster in your kitchen than on any place on the face of the earth?
That's one of the movie's most underrated moments because it illustrates something crucial. People often confuse familiarity with expertise. And if they can be wrong about grits, something low stakes, ordinary, and repetitive, then can they be wrong about something far more serious? Comedy becomes the vehicle that reveals epistemic fragility. But the deeper the trial goes, the clearer it becomes. Vinny's strength is not polish, it's method. But Vinny does something dangerous. He doesn't argue motivations. He doesn't speculate narratives. He doesn't replace one story with another. He asks, how? There's a moment when Vinny cross-examines the elderly woman who claims she clearly saw the crime through her window.
Whoa. How long you been wearing glasses?
Since I was 6.
Have they always been that thick?
Oh, no, they got thicker over the years.
Maybe you're ready for a thicker set.
Oh, no, I think they're okay.
She's calm, certain, convincing. And Vinny doesn't accuse her of lying. He asks about her eyesight, not as an insult, but as a variable. Vinny's strength is not polish. It's method.
Maybe we should make sure. Let's check it out. Now, how far were the defendants from you when you saw them entering the sack of suds?
About 100 feet.
100 feet. Would you hold this, please? Thank you. Okay, this is 50 feet. That's half the distance.
When he cross-examines eyewitnesses, the movie doesn't turn those moments into jokes. The jokes disappear because now the stakes are exposed.
How many fingers am I holding up now?
Oh,
And suddenly, the witnesses who once sounded certain start qualifying everything.
What do you think now, dear?
thinking of getting thicker glasses.
And slowly, the court realizes something uncomfortable. They didn't lie, they inferred. That scene alone dismantles a deeply held assumption people bring into the courtroom and into life. Sincerity does not guarantee accuracy. The film repeatedly shows how human beings fill in the gaps and then mistake those inferences for perception. And the legal system, when it isn't careful, treats those inferences as facts. Then there's Vinny himself.
Mr. Gambini, are you mocking me with that outfit?
Mocking you? No, I'm not mocking you, Judge.
He doesn't sound right. He breaks courtroom etiquette. He stumbles over procedure. Every surface level cue tells the courtroom this man does not know what he's doing. And the judge, who represents institutional authority, visibly doubts him at every step.
You on drugs?
Drugs? No, I don't take drugs.
But this is where the movie flips the script, because competence in My Cousin Vinny is not tied to decorum, it's tied to method. When Vinny finally starts asking the right questions, every correct answer comes not from tradition or authority, but from process. Take the tire mark scene. The prosecution assumes the defendant's car is responsible because it fits the story they already believe. Vinny doesn't argue the story, he challenges the assumption itself. What kind of tires leave those marks? How common are they? How many cars could match that evidence? The narrative collapses under scrutiny, not because it's malicious, but because no one tested it hard enough. And then there's Mona Lisa Vito.
This witness is an expert in the field of automobiles and is being called to rebut the testimony of George Wilbur.
The prosecution objects before she speaks. The judge hesitates. The room doubts her on sight.
Your Honor, I object to this witness. Improper foundation. I'm not aware of this person's qualifications.
She doesn't look like an expert. She doesn't fit the stereotype. Her credibility is questioned before she even speaks.
Ms. Vito's expertise is in general automotive knowledge. It is in this area that her testimony will be applicable.
She doesn't rely on charisma. She relies on falsification.
The car that made these two equal-length tire marks had positive traction. can't make those marks without positive traction, which was not available on the 64 Buick Skylark. When the left tire mark goes up on the curb and the right tire mark stays flat and even, well, the 64 Skylark had a solid rear axle. So when the left tire would go up on the curb, the right tire would tilt out and ride along its edge.
She explains exactly why the prosecution's hypothesis cannot work down to engine timing, traction, torque, tire geometry, because explanation beats performance. Now authority scrambles. Now the system is forced to confront its own bias. This is one of the most important moments in the film because it exposes another bias. Sometimes we judge expertise by performance and not by explanatory power. The system resists her not because she's wrong, but because she violates expectations about who is allowed to know things. And that brings us back to the core question. My Cousin Vinny isn't just asking whether the defendants are innocent. It's asking whether truth survives systems that reward confidence over competence. It's asking whether authority helps or hinders truth when it becomes resistant to challenge. It's asking whether justice is about winning arguments or testing them. Vinny doesn't win the case by presenting a better story. He wins by showing that the existing story cannot meet its burden of proof. And that's the most skeptical idea in the film. You don't need to know the truth with certainty. You need to know when certainty is unjustified. In that sense, My Cousin Vinny is not a comedy about the law. It applies broadly about checking your work to see if you actually have much more ahead of you. And that's why it belongs right next to 12 Angry Men, because both films remind us justice doesn't come from how sure we sound. It comes from how well we reason.